Thank God. Thank God. How are you?
Okay, good morning, everyone. Let's do some announcements. Year of Learning, sponsored by Julia and Boris Kagan to commemorate the Yurt side of Julia's father, Issa Ben Muttal. Month of Learning, sponsored by Annette Jerry Transit to commemorate the Yurt sides of Annette's parents, Benyon and Joseph Zimmer, Rena Bad, Leah the parents, and Yosef Ben Shara Pesa. And today's breakfast is sponsored by Rabbi Avi and Susan and Zevi Weintraub to commemorate the Yurt side of Avi's mother, Sarah Mariam Bas Harav Usha Anshel Yechiel HaKohen, on the 18th of Thomas. Did I get that right?
Good morning. Good morning, Janusz. 108 degrees.
Good morning.
You're making the rabbi feel right at home. It's going to be 100 through Shabbos, and then he'll have 108. Thank you.
No, we had it too.
Yeah, that's what he's saying.
Hi, Jay. How are you?
Good, Rabbi.
I always
Thank
like repeating my mother's name because it's she was Hasidish. So from a Hasidish family, and her mother and my father's father were brother and sister.
You want to give me my headphones? They're upstairs.
At the end, the last Torah is going to be from this new Sefer. I picked this up. It's already a year that it's out. It's called Otzrot HaChed, Treasures of Pleasure, Chain. It's written by one of my cousins. It is a collection of Chassidish Vertlach from my great-grandfather and from his son, my grandfather's brother. It has stuff from my grandfather's Sefer also, and it has stuff from a lot of the Chassidish Rebbes that were in that part of Poland, Lodz, in that area, Krakow, and all that area, going back into the 1800s. So it's got a store of Chassidish Torah, and we have one. So I would think befitting my mother's yurtzeit to quote from her uncles. The quote from one of them would be Liluye Nishmas Ha'isha Sarah Mariam, not Miriam, Sarah Mariam Bas Horav Usher Anshel Yechiel HaKohen. Say that a few times fast. Usher Anshel Yechiel HaKohen. Okay. Parashas Pinchas has many things, but the first part where it gets its name, Pinchas, is the reward to Pinchas for being the one who restored morning Siri, restored the peace to Bnei Yisrael. The Torah says, Pinchas ben Elazar ben Aaron HaKohen, Heshiv es Chamasi, restored my wrath, Me'al Bnei Yisrael, from upon the children of Israel, V'lo chilisi es Bnei Yisrael bekin asi. And Hashem says, I did not destroy the children of Israel in my vengeance, in my taking revenge. What was done by the tribe of Shimon, by the leader of the tribe of Shimon, what was done was a brazen act of immorality, a brazen attack against the authority of the Torah, the authority of Moshe Rabbeinu. It was such a brazen act that had Pinchas not done what he did, there would have been that Magefa, that plague would have destroyed Bnei Yisrael. So Pinchas, Heshiv es Chamasi, let's hear the word. He restored my wrath. Chamasi, it's a weird word. I mean, chamasi comes from the word cham, heat, like the sun is the chama. Chamasi, chamati is my heat, my wrath. Why is this word used? What else can this word teach us that he was Heshiv? He restored. Where was the word chamasi? Let's think outside the box. He restored chamasi, this ches, mem, taf, and yud. He restored these letters from among the children of Israel. He restored them from where they were now to where they should be. None other than the Vilna Gaon, it's ascribed to the Vilna Gaon, said, let's see, what did Pinchas do? If you look at the word chamosi, Mendy, and I would have had, if I had the whiteboard, I would have had, or the smart board, I would have had the letters, I would have moved them around. Ches, mem, saf, and yud. Let's look at those words, those letters. And let's look at the word machatzis hashekel. It also has a ches mem, machatzis, yud and saf, and it has a tzadi in the middle. A tzadi. It's not a tzadik, it's a tzadi. I once gave a bar Torah. I was a Rav for Shabbos somewhere. So I had a 90-year-old in shul, and I said, he reached, I didn't know the man from Adam, but I said, he reached tzaddik. Tzaddik is like tzaddik, means he led a righteous life, not knowing this man at all. I'm sure he led a good life. Okay, that was many years ago. But tzaddik, in the middle, machatzis hashekel, mem, ches, yud, taf, and a tzaddik in the middle. So the Vilna Gaon says, tzadi stands for righteousness. Rashi Tevos, let's look at what the letter represents. So tzadi stands for tzedakah, righteous. And what does he have around it? Mem, ches, and a yud, taf. What does it separate? You have a mem, ches, tzadi, yud, taf. Let's look at the letters. A mem machatzis, mem in the beginning and a taf at the end. Meis, dead. Look at the next two letters, ches and yud, chai, and the tzadi in the middle. So the Vilna Gaon says, it's a famous thing that we say, and whenever there's a fast day, whenever there's the Seres Yimei Tshuva, we say Tzedakah tatzil mimaves, doing the right thing. Tzedakah doesn't only mean giving to the pushka; it means tzedakah, righteousness, will save from death. So this is what the Vilna Gaon says. Let's look at the stakes. Had Zimri, the prince of the tribe of Shimon, had he or anybody from his shevet, any of his bodyguards that saw Pinchas coming with the spear, and this guy was coming not to throw the javelin, but to use it to stab Zimri and Cosby, and he did stab them in a very, very bad place. Had they stopped him, had they killed him, they would have been putter. Nobody else is coming in. They're all here on time. They would have been putter, because if someone's rodef, if someone is pursuing you and you kill them first, you're putter. You have to defend yourself, even if you're doing the wrong thing. Pinchas, nonetheless, went after that, knowing his life is at that minute. He can be killed easily. He did what he did. Because why? By doing what he did, he restored the letters in a mystical way, the Vilna Gaon says. Restored the letters. It's the opposite of machatzis. Instead of the mem and the taf being apart, they were next to each other. Chamosi, they were ready to be killed. And the yud ches, the chai, chamosi, ches and yud, they were distant. At this moment, God's wrath was, I'm going to destroy them. So by his doing what he did, the Vilna Gaon says, he was able to cosmically jumble that word back into machatzis to show that the righteousness of what he did, the zealous act, restored the balance, that the mem and the saf are further, and the ches and the yud, the chai, are back together. Interesting word.
Those four letters equal, I think, to 458. Correct. Check me out.
458, indeed.
Right. So at 458, 17, which is going to be tomorrow, right around the time of the Parsha.
Good, good. And mending with the gematria has come through. Once again, there are many connections. There are myriad connections. You remember the book, The Bible Code? Made a big hit when it came out. And now there was more Bible Code. Michael Drazen, Bible Code. I think no matter what computer, quantum computer, no matter what type of processing system you use, you will find that the Torah outwits them all. Because the Torah is supernatural das. It's das elyon. It's going to be higher than any human potential. We'll come closer and closer, but the true emes is what Hashem himself reveals to us in the Torah. We will never understand it fully. We will never uncover it fully. And just to see the Vilna Gaon, who came closer than almost any human being, sees letters like this, and to him, just adjusts the letters and says, to him it's pashut, utzdaka tatzil mimaves. Doing the right thing can save even from a calamity. Okay, we move in this parsha to Moshe recounting. In the count, he has to recount. He has to count the Bnei Israel again after the Mageva, after the 24,000 that were killed because of Zimri. Moshe has to count Bnei Israel again. Every time that there's a calamity, Hashem counts Bnei Israel again to show that he loves every single one of them. Sometimes you have to, I hate to use a metaphor, you have to prune the garden to nourish, to cultivate the healthy garden, sometimes at the expense of those that are the deleterious parts of the garden. But it says, Uvnei Korach lo mesu. Moshe says, Vatiftach ha'eretz es piha, the land opened up its mouth. Vativla osam v'yes Korach b'mos ha'eda, and Korach, it swallowed them, and Korach ba'achol ha'esh, as the fire consumed the 50 Masayim ish, v'yihiyu l'nes. Let's think of the words again. Yes, Moshe is telling us the earth opened up its mouth, swallowed them, and Korach, when the congregation, they assembled against, the mutineers assembled against Moshe and Aaron, Ba'achol ha'esh, it repeats, as the fire consumed the 250 men, V'yihiyu l'nes, and they became l'nes, to a banner, as a banner. What's going on? Why are they telling us V'yihiyu l'nes? So it became either it's a banner, it means it was something seen by all, or V'yihiyu l'nes, it was miraculous. Another way to understand that. Why is it telling us? And this comes from someone called the Shoel Umeshiv, in the 19th century, the Shoel Umeshiv. What does it have to tell us by Yihu Lanes? And these things became a miracle. It was a miracle. Why does it have to tell us it was a miracle? Why does the Torah have to tell us these words? Because you know what? There's always people who are going to say, like the 10 plagues in Mitzrayim, we can explain it physically. We can explain locusts in that part of the world, a swarm of locusts happened. We could look at the geological record and explain almost all the miracles, the crossing of the sea. It was not God's hand that did it. You know what it was? It just happened at that time that the water parted. It was a shallow crossing. It wasn't, a lot of people philosophically could say, I don't have to believe those miracles. Yeah, nice legend. I don't have to believe it. Try this one. The Shoel Umeshiv says, try this one. The Gemara tells us that Korach, there were two categories of punishment. There was, as Moshe recounts, God had to create at that moment a new creation, that the earth had to open its mouth and at the same time swallow Korach, and a fire had to come and consume 250 people. You think what Eliyahu Hanavi had to do at Har Carmel was hard. Eliyahu Hanavi at Har Carmel had the 400 Kohanim that were worshiping Baal, 400 Kohanim, and he had to pray to Hashem, and that's what we say in Slichos, Misha Ana, whoever was the one who answered Eliyahu Hanavi in Har Carmel. He bet the whole farm of Judaism. He said to God, do this now, Hashem, for your glory, or else your glory's gone. And at that moment, the fire came down. Okay, good, Eliyahu. Moshe Rabbeinu said, in Bria Yibra Hashem, to prove that Hashem sent me, it's got to be the earth opening and at the same time getting Korach and getting the 250 with the fire. And more than that, the Gemara learns out that Korach was from the Bluim, from those swallowed up by the earth, and Nisrafim, and from those consumed by fire. At that second, he was both Ruim and Srufim. He was both from those swallowed and consumed and completely inflamed. That, try to explain at the same time. That's by Yihu Lanes. That's the miracle the Torah is telling us. Okay, you scoffers, such a thing you cannot explain, that it happens instantaneously. All that stuff, not a chance. That's Hashem. But we also, in the next pasuk says, Uvnei Korach lo mesu. The children of Korach did not die. And so much so that they didn't die, that when do we use the children of Korach? Right before Tkiyah Shofar, where we say the Mizmor, Shiur Mizmor L'Bnei Korach, right before we say it 7 times to knock down the walls of Avera, knock down the walls of the Yetzer Hara, to knock down the walls of Yericho, our Yericho, on the high holy days. Shiur Mizmor L'Bnei Korach, they didn't die. Let's see what it says. Rashi brings the Medrash. Heim hayu be'etza techila. They were the first ones that told the council of Korach. They told their father, do this. Stand up for your rights. Stand up for the kavod of your shevet. Uvishas hamachlokes. They caused it. They instigated it. But at the time of the machlokes, that means at the final rupture, when Moshe says, he goes to ask them, Shimon b'nei Levi, he tries to plead with them. At that moment of machlokes, when it was decided, you're on their side or you're on our side. Here haru tshuva belibam. They repented. So what happened? Lefichach nisbatzer lahem makom gavoa begehinam v'yoshvu sham. Let's look at the words carefully. Sounds like they were saved, but let's look at the words carefully. Lefichach nisbatzer lahem, a place was saved, reserved for them. Makom gavoa begehinam, a high place in Gehenna. V'yashvu sham, and they were able to settle there. I was in Newark for Shabbos once when I was in YU many years ago, 35 years ago, when I was in Smicha. I was a Rabbi in Newark. They sent me to all the good places because that's Gehenna. That's right, there we go. So I was driving around Newark on Friday, and I thought Newark is going to be burnt down and everything's going to be. There's a beautiful part of Newark where I saw beautiful houses. It's like being on Churchill in Teaneck, or being on some of those beautiful streets, beautiful houses. And I said, this must be the hoity-toity in Newark. There must be a place in Newark where these are the rich people in Newark. Not too bad. So that's Makom Gavoa. It's a high place, but it is Newark. Makom Gavoa begehinam. So the Kasav Sofer says, let's see. He says you can't have it both ways. Either way, it says, Hir haru tshuva belibam, if they had the thoughts of tshuva, the feelings of tshuva in their hearts, why did they go to Gehenna? And if Hir haru tshuva, that means it doesn't say they did complete tshuva gemura, but if Hir haru tshuva, the thoughts of doing tshuva doesn't help, it's not sufficient, why did it save for them a place? A high place in Gehenna. If you're in Gehenna, you're in Gehenna. Why did it send them there? Should have sent them to, to Teaneck. Why send them to Newark? So the Ksav Sofer takes one side. He says, quoting the Gemara, Hamachti es harabim, one who causes many to sin, as B'nai Korach instigated their father. They were the first in this idea of Korach rebelling. Ein maspikin biyado lasos tshuva. The Gemara says, one who causes others to sin, they do not give that person the opportunity. Maspikin biyado. They don't give him sufficient opportunity to do tshuva. Not that it's impossible, but they don't make it easy for you. They don't give you the opportunity to do tshuva. Why? So that it doesn't make sense that you, who caused others to sin, you did tshuva in your heart, you're going to go to Gan Eden. But all those that you sinned, they're going to Gehenna. It's not fair. It's not fair. So that's what he says. B'nai Korach, yep, they caused this machlokas. Their tshuva, their hir haru tshuva was not sufficient that they can do a complete tshuva. Wouldn't be fair that they get to go to Gan Eden and Korach and the 250 all go to Gehenna. Not fair. So that's what Rashi says. Hir haru tshuva belibam, inside their heart, they did tshuva. But they didn't get the opportunity to do a tshuva gemura. I see the questions. So that's why they weren't completely lost in the worst part of Newark. They weren't completely lost. But your address will save you. We'll put you in a high place. It won't be so hot. But it's not Gan Eden. That's the Ksav Sofer, Mendy, and then you.
Obviously, the tshuva was good enough because a boy came small enough.
That's right. That's right.
So tshuva must have been
Right, they didn't go
From a
down,
certain
right,
point.
right, they did not go down to Sheol Tachtis, which is complete loss. That's true. That's true, but they themselves, if you ask them where it is, they'll probably say the air conditioning could be a little better. Yes.
Whenever you wrong somebody, you have to get his mechila before you can be forgiven by Hashem. Here, the 250 were dead, so they couldn't get mechila from the ones they wronged.
Tshuva would have been possible if it's always possible. I mean, David HaMelech proves tshuva is possible under the worst conditions. David HaMelech proves it to us. But it's very hard condition. What could they have done more than they did? It's very hard. As the price of an iniquity rises, the price of leaving the iniquity and reestablishing as if it didn't exist, the iniquity, doing tshuva gets harder too, with opportunity, with what's it called, with benefits, with consequences come benefits, or something like that. As it gets harder. But Rav Shimshon Pincus says, let's look at it a little differently. Let's try to take a positive message from this tshuva. Let's not be so medactic in the words, but let's see, because we do say Livnei Korach, Mizmor. We have five Mizmorim that have Bnei Korach. So the Pashup shot is they did tshuva. He says, how do we survive in a terrible world? How do families survive in this assimilationist, materialistic, evil world that we live in? You have to make mispatzer lahem makom gavoa begehinam b'yashvusham. We have to make a small, high place of refuge in this Gehenna that we call Olam Hazeh 2026. We have to make for ourselves and for our families and for our communities a place in this Gehenna that we could survive, that we're not enveloped by the flames of Gehenna, by the influences, by the degradation, by the values or the lack of values that this society has. We're so influenced by secular values. We don't appreciate that the Torah's values are always, never ceasing. There don't have to be their new values of camaraderie, new values of hopefulness, new values of respect. These are values we've had for thousands of years, and these are values that are continue till the end of time. We don't have to ride the waves of today this is popular, today we can insult on TikTok, we can insult on texting, we can insult the stuff that's in tabloids, the stuff that's on TV, the stuff that's around us has no respect for boundaries. You have to have nisbatza have makam gavoa. We need a high place for us to realize we're a higher people, have a higher calling than the schmutz that is around us in the Gehenna that is surrounding us. Finally, the end of the parsha talks about the festivals of the year. We call it Parshas Pinchas, where all the offerings of the year, all the offerings in the Beis Hamikdash come. Okay, listen to this. This is from my mother's cousin, a Weintraub, by the way. Noach God Weintraub was my grandfather's brother. Chanukah min haTorah minayin. Yes, it's like Lahavdil, Christmas in July, we'll have Chanukah in July. Chanukah, where's Chanukah mentioned in the Torah? And it's good before Shiva Sabbatamas to talk about Chanukah, which was our great salvation. It says the following. We have a pasuk at the end at the end where it talks about Bar Shmini Atzeres, the Torah says, Elu Tasu Lashem, these are the offerings that you should perform in the Beis HaMikdash, in the Mishkan, to Hashem, B'moadeichem, in your festivals, and your festivals are Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, Pesach, Shavuot, Sukkot. These are your festivals that the Torah lists, the Torah says. Levad minidreichem, aside from what you promised to give, v'nidvoseichem, what you offered to give, that's an adava, that voluntary offering. Lolo seichem, this is what you have to do for your olah, ulminchoseichem, and to your mincha. We'll talk about olah. Olah goes up. Minchoseichem, mincha is something that is lower, the mincha. And to your niskechem is ablations. They would pour. It's nisuch mayim. They would pour the water. Nisuch yayin. They would pour wine. Ulashalmechem, and to the shlamim. So he says, in the summertime, Hashem gave us all the moados, all the festivals. In the summertime, there's two seasons of the year, like there's two parts of the day. There's day and there's night. Summertime, when things are calm, when things are peaceful. When life goes on expectedly, fulfilled, when we're safe, summertime. We have Pesach, Shavuos, Sukkot, Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, and then Sukkot. Summertime. It's not winter. It's not dangerous. It's not winds howling. It's not the howling times of the nations of the world coming against us. It's not the bad times of history. It's the good times. The Torah gives us, these are your festivals. But what happens in the winter, like in the night, in the scary winter? This is what you do to Hashem. Hashem gives you the moados in the summertime, in good times. What about the bad times? You have to make your own moados. And what are the moados? Purim and Hanukkah. Purim is simple. Purim, it says, Uleniskechem ulashalmechem, your nesachim and your shlamim. Nesach is, we call it yayin nesach. Nesach is something that is spilt, that is poured. So niskechem is something that is nimzag, something that is served in a goblet. Gemara says, yes, uleniskechem. There's a remez here. My great uncle says there's a remez. Uleniskechem, that's Purim. Ulashalmechem. These two words are remez to Purim. There'll come a time when you will rejoice with niskechem, with your oblations. Chayav inish livsume bepurya. A person has the obligation to get drunk, to drink on Purim. That's your nisuch. That's niskechem. You're going to do. There's going to be a pouring of wine to celebrate. Also, it says, Ulashalmechem. What does it say at the end of the Megillah? Mordecai. Mordecai sent Divrei Shalom v'emes. He sent the letters to the 127 countries of Jews, Divrei Shalom v'emes, words of peace and truth. Shalom, Shalmechem. There's a remez for Purim. There'll be a time that there'll be Shalom v'emes. The first two words. This you do, levad, minidrechem, minidvoseichem, aside from the neder and the dava offering, le'oloseichem, uleminchoseichem. What is an olah? Oloseichem, olah, what goes up? Olah. What do we say? Baha'aloscha es haneros. When you raise the neros. That's what it's called. You light the candle, that's ha'aloscha es haneros. You raise the flame. Ulamin choseichem. and to your mincha is something lashon hanacha, something that is placed lower. That's what Chazal tell us. Putting the candles, hanacha osa mitzvah. The question was, is it hadlaka osa mitzvah? Is the kindling of the fire making the mitzvah? That means you have to have the lights 30 minutes or whatever the shiur is. Or hanacha, the fact that you place the lights, it could blow out, but you place them. And we say hanacha osa mitzvah. Hanacha, that's mincho seichem. So the remez is for Hanukkah. So the remez is beautiful. God gives us for the summertime of our history, we have our moadim. But for the winter, you have to also, there will be moadim, the Torah says, even though it's going to be rough history, rough times at times. But there will be cause for simcha, there will be cause for shalom, there will be cause for the neiros to go up, and there will be cause for to have menorah. There will be Klal Yisrael in the summer and in the winter. We are here to stay. Everybody have an easy fast.
I think firm, how's that for the winter?
Start, Rabbi.
Now,
Someone should have an leave.
Thank you, Jay.
Neshama shulchan aliyah.
Thank you, Janusz, and put that AC on.
Thank you.
Let's get
Got a bench.